Greetings and welcome to the NICG three-part series on the King IV Code of Corporate Governance. Throughout these sessions, we will explore how to practically apply the principles of the King IV Code to enhance governance practices in your organization. But before we get started, let us take a moment and imagine an ideal world where every business operates with the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability. A world where stakeholders trust the organizations they invest in, the companies they work for, and the businesses they partner with. That is the corporate, scandal-free world that King IV strives to create. As boards and governance professionals, you play an essential role in making this vision a reality. So, how do we go about it? First, we start with the basics. In this session, we'll cover the concept of corporate governance, its context, and an overview of King IV as the best practice framework for corporate governance in Namibia. Later, in the second half of our series, we will look at the practical application of King IV Principles 1 to 5. This is where theory meets practice, and you'll gain invaluable insights into implementing these principles effectively in your organization to achieve the highest standards of ethical and effective governance. So what is corporate governance? The King IV Code defines corporate governance as the exercise of ethical and effective leadership by the governing body towards the achievement of the following 4 governance outcomes. Number 1, an ethical culture. This is about creating an environment where ethics guide all decisions and actions, whether in employment practices, relationships with suppliers, or dealings with employees. For example, it means not accepting kickbacks or secret gifts to secure private deals. An ethical culture promotes integrity, transparency, and accountability, ensuring that everyone in the organization adheres to high ethical standards. The second outcome is good performance. Here we focus on whether we are achieving the company's strategic objectives and delivering on our commitments to stakeholders. This requires setting clear key performance indicators and targets to measure the organization's progress and success over time. The third outcome is effective control. This refers to the systems, processes, and structures needed to manage risks, prevent fraud, and ensure compliance with laws and regulations. The governing body oversees these mechanisms, implementing robust internal controls, risk management frameworks, and governance policies to safeguard the organization's assets. And finally, legitimacy. Legitimacy is about being perceived as a responsible corporate citizen, one that operates in society's best interest, not just for profit. Transparent communication through annual or integrated reports builds strong stakeholder relationships and maintains the organization's social license to operate. These 4 outcomes, ethical culture, good performance, effective control, and legitimacy, are the pillars of strong governance. While King IV is not a legally binding framework, it is widely regarded as an essential benchmark for good governance. Failure to adhere to its principles can result in reputational damage, loss of stakeholder trust, and even financial repercussions, for example in the case of the SME bank scandal. Now let's talk about the apply and explain approach. King IV requires organizations to apply its 17 principles and then explain how they achieve the 4 desired governance outcomes. This moves beyond the traditional tick-box exercise, encouraging boards to offer thoughtful and transparent disclosures about their practices. By providing these insights, stakeholders gain a clearer understanding of the organization's governance, allowing them to evaluate its effectiveness and alignment with sound governance principles. For example, if your company adopts a code of conduct and implements ethics training to promote ethical leadership, your integrated report should detail how these initiatives contribute to building an ethical culture within the organization. It should also explain how these efforts align with King IV's principles, demonstrating a tangible link between governance practices and their impact. This approach helps to convey the organization's dedication to embedding ethics into its operations and decision-making processes. The apply and explain method also offers flexibility. It allows boards to determine if certain principles or practices are unsuitable for their organization's context and to explain why. This approach requires boards to think deeply about how to apply each principle effectively, taking into account the organization's realities, while ensuring fairness, accountability, responsibility, and transparency. In this way, King 4 empowers organizations to adopt governance practices that not only comply with standards but also drive sustainable value creation. Now that we've set the foundation with the core concepts of King 4, let's move on to its practical application, the principles that guide effective governance. The principles of King 4 are not just abstract ideas, they are practical tools designed to help boards and governing bodies navigate the complexities of modern business. Think of them as a roadmap, steering organizations toward ethical and effective leadership, sustainable value creation, and stakeholder trust. As we go through these principles, reflect on how they apply to your own organization. The goal here is not just to understand the principles, but to see how they can be lived out in your governance practices. Principle 1. The board should lead ethically and effectively. At the heart of any organization is its leadership. For a board to lead ethically and effectively, it must demonstrate core values that guide its decisions and actions. These values are not abstract ideals, but practical cornerstones that drive responsible leadership, ensure good governance, and strengthen relationships with stakeholders. By living these principles, the board sets the tone for integrity and accountability throughout the organization. Let us explore these values and what they mean in practice. Number 1. Integrity. This means approaching governance with transparency, preparedness, and a commitment to ethical standards. For example, if you are aware of a potential conflict of interest before a board meeting, integrity requires you to disclose it promptly and ensure it is properly managed and documented. Members of the governing body must demonstrate ethical leadership by openly declaring any conflicts of interest and ensuring these are handled responsibly to maintain trust and credibility. Integrity also means coming to meetings fully prepared, having done your due diligence, reviewed all relevant materials, and being ready to contribute meaningfully to discussions. It reflects a dedication to operating with the highest ethical standards and ensures the governing body leads with competence, responsibility, and accountability. Number 2. Competence. Effective governance demands the right mix of skills, experience, and qualifications at the board level. A competent board also knows the value of seeking professional advice, understanding that well-informed decisions are often the result of collaboration and access to specialized expertise. Number 3. Responsibility. Directors are required to act in the best interests of the company and its stakeholders. Their collective responsibilities include steering and setting the company's strategic direction, approving policies and plans, overseeing and monitoring their implementation by management, and ensuring accountability for the organization's overall performance. Number 4. Accountability. What does this mean in practice? It means the board can never absolve itself of accountability by simply delegating responsibilities to management. Saying, "Management is accountable if things go wrong," is not aligned with King 4's principles. King 4 makes it clear, the board itself remains accountable, no matter what. This is why the board must actively drive the organization's strategy, policy, oversight, and overall accountability. These are the core responsibilities of the governing body as outlined in King 4, emphasizing that ultimate accountability always rests with the board. Number 5. Fairness. Fairness requires the governing body to consider the needs and expectations of all stakeholders, ensuring that decisions are made transparently and without bias. Fairness means creating an environment where stakeholders are treated with respect, their voices are heard, and their interests are balanced. This principle underscores the importance of justice and inclusivity in governance, building trust, and fostering a sense of shared purpose across the organization. Finally, transparency. This means that the reports issued by the board, whether they are integrated reports, financial statements, or sustainability reports, must reflect transparency and honesty. These reports should provide stakeholders with clear and accurate information, enabling them to make informed assessments about the organization's performance and value creation. The board has a responsibility to ensure that nothing is concealed, either in the wording or in the underlying data. Transparency in reporting demonstrates ethical governance, ensuring stakeholders understand how the organization operates and creates value. Simply put, when an organization leads ethically, its reports serve as a testament to its commitment to openness and accountability. These values are the foundation of ethical and effective leadership. When embraced collectively, they enable boards to lead with purpose, navigate challenges responsibly, and build a culture of trust throughout the organization. Building on the importance of ethical leadership, let's move to Principle 2, which focuses on how the board governs the organization's ethics. Principle 2 states that the board should govern the company's ethics in a way that supports the establishment of an ethical culture. Ethics is the backbone of trust in any organization. The board must set the tone by approving a code of conduct that outlines clear ethical standards for everyone in the organization, from executives to entry-level employees. But having a code of conduct is only the first step. It must become a living part of the company's culture. This means embedding ethical considerations into every aspect of the business: recruitment, procurement, decision-making, and daily operations. As board members, consider asking yourselves the following questions. Are potential hires evaluated not just on skills, but on alignment with the company's values? Are procurement processes fair, transparent, and free from favoritism or corruption? Governing ethics also means enforcing consequences for unethical behavior. Whether through disciplinary actions or appointment terminations, the board must send a clear message. Unethical actions will not be tolerated. Finally, boards must provide safe mechanisms for employees to report unethical practices without fear of retaliation. Whistleblowing channels, such as hotlines or anonymous portals, should be well publicized, accessible, and properly managed to ensure credibility. King 4 recommends a social and ethics committee to oversee these processes, monitor adherence to ethical policies, and regularly report to the board. In this way, ethics becomes the foundation of a company's operations and culture. Next is Principle 3, which states that the board should ensure the company is a responsible corporate citizen. This principle highlights that organizations are responsible not only to their shareholders, but also to society, the economy, and the environment. It's about being a responsible corporate citizen through actions that create value and reflect ethical leadership. This responsibility covers 4 key areas. In the workplace, it means ensuring fair treatment of employees, including equitable pay and safe working conditions. For the economy, it emphasizes the organization's role in promoting financial integrity, stimulating economic transformation, and contributing to the long-term stability and prosperity of the communities it serves. In society, it's about protecting public health, supporting community development, and respecting consumer rights. For the environment, this includes practices like energy efficiency, waste reduction, and adopting sustainable business models. To effectively apply this principle, organizations must set clear goals, integrate these priorities into their operations, and regularly review their impact. This could involve implementing fair pay policies, launching community programs, adopting sustainable technologies, or ensuring that suppliers follow ethical standards. The governing body therefore plays a key role in overseeing these efforts and ensuring progress is shared openly with stakeholders. In essence, being a responsible corporate citizen isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about embedding fairness, sustainability, and accountability into everything the organization does. Moving on to Principle 4. The board should ensure the value creation process aligns with the company's purpose, strategy, and performance. What do we mean by value creation, and how does it connect to the company's core purpose, strategy, business model, and performance? In simple terms, value creation is the process of generating tangible and intangible benefits for the company and its stakeholders. It's not just about profits. It's about delivering meaningful, sustainable outcomes that align with the organization's mission and long-term goals. The foundation of value creation lies in the company's core purpose, the reason it exists beyond financial gain. The core purpose reflects the value the company seeks to provide to its customers, stakeholders, and society. It acts as a guiding light, shaping the company's decisions and activities at every level. From the core purpose flows the strategy, which serves as a roadmap for achieving long-term goals. The board plays a fundamental role in setting and approving this strategy. It determines the markets the company will serve, the products and services it will offer, and the competitive advantages it will pursue. For a corporate strategy to succeed, it must remain aligned with the company's purpose while being adaptable to changing business environments. These environments include shifts in market dynamics, technological advancements, regulatory changes, and evolving customer needs. A successful strategy stays focused on the organization's core mission while being agile enough to respond effectively to these external pressures and opportunities. Next is the business model, which serves as the operational framework for executing the strategy. It defines how the company creates, delivers, and captures value. Key elements include the company's activities, resources, partnerships, and value propositions. The board must ensure that the business model is sustainable and remains aligned with the organization's mission, particularly in today's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous business environment. The final component of value creation is performance, which measures the company's success in achieving its goals. Performance is more than financial results. It's about measuring how effectively the company creates value across multiple dimensions. King 4 identifies 6 capitals that together reflect the organization's ability to generate long-term value. Let's take a closer look at these 6 capitals and explore how they contribute to creating long-term value. 1. Financial capital. This is the company's financial resources, its profits, investments, and monetary assets. Financial capital is essential for funding operations and delivering returns to stakeholders. 2. Manufactured capital. Think of this as the physical assets that support the business: buildings, machinery, technology, and infrastructure. These are the tools that enable the company to deliver its products or services. 3. Intellectual capital. This refers to the knowledge, intellectual property, systems, and processes that provide a company with a competitive advantage. This includes assets such as patents, trademarks, proprietary software, and the organizational expertise that drives innovation and efficiency. It's about the ideas and expertise that set the business apart in the market. 4. Human capital. This represents the skills, experience, motivation, and well-being of a company's workforce. It's critical for innovation, productivity, and customer relationships. 5. Social and relationship capital. This refers to the networks, relationships, and trust an organization builds and maintains with its stakeholders. These stakeholders include customers, employees, suppliers, communities, and other external groups that influence or are influenced by the organization. Finally, the 6th capital, called natural capital. This includes the natural resources and ecosystem services that a company relies on and impacts, such as air, water, minerals, and biodiversity. It's increasingly recognized as a fundamental driver of long-term sustainability. Together, these 6 capitals offer a comprehensive view of how the company generates and maintains value over time, demonstrating the interconnected resources and relationships that drive its success and sustainability. Our final principle for today is Principle 5. The board should ensure transparent and effective stakeholder reporting. The governing body plays an essential role in guiding and ensuring the quality of the organization's reporting processes. Before any reports are shared with stakeholders, the governing body must decide on the tone, level of detail, and overall approach to reporting. They also need to review and approve all reports, ensuring they comply with legal and ethical standards. Part of their responsibility includes determining materiality, deciding what information is significant enough to influence stakeholder decisions. When we talk about setting the direction, it's about ensuring the organization understands the kind of transparency and accountability expected in its reporting. Approving frameworks means the governing body must sign off on the accounting and reporting structures the organization uses, as well as approve the individual reports themselves. While the governing body doesn't prepare these reports, they oversee the process to ensure everything is accurate and aligned with the organization's values. Deciding what's material is especially challenging because it requires careful judgment about what stakeholders need to know to make informed decisions. Furthermore, the report should offer valuable insights and tell a clear story, connecting the company's strategy, governance practices, performance, and long-term goals. For example, including visuals like graphs and charts can help simplify complex information, making it more accessible and engaging. The reports should also be accessible, whether through the company's website, shareholder meetings, or other stakeholder communications. Ultimately, the governing body is responsible for ensuring that all reports released to the public are accurate and reflect the organization's commitment to transparency and the principles of the King IV Code. When boards prioritize transparent and effective reporting, they provide stakeholders with the clarity they need to make informed decisions and stay engaged with the organization. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our first series on the application of the King IV Code of Corporate Governance. Thank you for your time and attention as we explored Principles 1 to 5. We look forward to you joining us in our next session, where we'll dive into Principles 6 to 12 and discover more ways to strengthen governance practices and create long-term value. Until then, take care.